Throughout the year, members of the armed forces challenge themselves to new experiences by undertaking adventurous training. The Joint Services Adventurous Sail Training Centre based down in Gosport organise and run an annual completion of the Atlantic Circuit. This involves taking a yacht south towards the Canary Islands, crossing the Atlantic and then spending several weeks in the Caribbean. After that, she heads north once again, typically stopping in Florida, New York and Halifax, Nova Scotia, before returning once again across the ocean to Iceland, and then finally home. Throughout this expedition, crews rotate on a 2 to 3 weekly basis. At any one time, 12 to 15 soldiers, sailors and airmen and women are being put through their paces, learning a new set of skills and finding their sea legs. In December, Crew 5 of Exercise Caribbean Express 2019 flew from a cold and blustery London Gatwick to the altogether more pleasant surroundings of Grenada. Known as the Spice Island, and with a nutmeg on their national flag, the warm air was fragrant and humid as we made the short trip from the airport to St George's Harbour. In amongst the super yachts, we were to find our home for the next 2 weeks, the magnificent Discoverer of Hornet. A 72-foot Challenger yacht, she is designed for global adventurous sailing, so is safe, sturdy and powerful, but, as we were soon to find out, has none of the niceties of luxury charter yachts. The bunks are simple canvas affairs slung between steel poles and with webbing straps to hold you in bed at night, and they are stacked 3 high. We quickly stowed away our belongings in our plastic lockers and then went ashore for food before settling into our accommodation for our first night's sleep. The first modern blessing that we were to miss was air conditioning. A steel-hulled sloop heats up like a furnace under the tropical sun, and this, coupled with the humidity and 15 sweating bodies, made for an incredibly uncomfortable night. Daybreak found most of the crew sleeping up on deck, having weathered the nighttime tropical showers, but this was a price worth paying for the cool evening air. We completed our briefings, were each allocated specific individual tasks and broken down to our respective watches. We headed out to sea to begin our initial instruction, sail handling training and the ever-important man-overboard drills. A feature of December in the Caribbean can be a phenomenon known as the Christmas winds. This is where the easterly trade winds back north or even northwest and bring with them strong winds, large waves and heavy showers. Our initial afternoon on the water certainly gave us a taste of things to come. One feature of sailing with the military is the obligatory watch rota. Whilst at anchor, 2 people had to be awake and on deck at all times to check that the anchor was not dragging. As far as stag duties go, this has to be one of the easiest. Just keep an eye out for some landmarks to align yourself to, and then periodically put a foot on the anchor cable to feel for vibrations from an anchor bouncing along the seabed. The only downside was being on deck when a squall came in. There was no chance of drying afterwards in the moist night air. We did all learn a valuable lesson when the cable securing our mooring buoy parted. We were suddenly adrift in the middle of a squall, in the pitch dark, no engine on and in a crowded anchorage. The duty watch closed up at the rush and disaster was narrowly averted. Day 3 saw even bigger waves, and with over half the crew suffering with seasickness, the planned 200-mile leg up to Guadeloupe was shelved. Instead, we made a shorter hop and planned some entertainment to bolster morale. We looped around Union Island to Clifton, where we cleared customs and immigration into the nation of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We also had time for a coffee and a quick stroll ashore before pressing on to the famed waters of Tobago Keys. Shifting sands had made the entrance to the archipelago tricky for such a large yacht, but we were able to get in and drop anchor to take the tender ashore. Here we swam in the translucent blue waters and got to see some turtles and tropical fish up close. That evening allowed us to appreciate the local wildlife in a different way. Fantastic barbecued lobster. Most of the time the crew had to cook for themselves. The yacht operates on a 3-watch system, with there being an on-watch and an off-watch throughout the day, and a so-called mother watch, who for the period of 24 hours is responsible for preparation of all the meals and also keeping the yacht looking shipshape.
So the glorious red watch is a mother watch at the moment, and we're making chicken curry for Scran.
The galley has 2 small ovens and a gimbal mounted stove. Food is stowed away everywhere, under bunks, under benches and down in the bilges. The taps of the sinks are operated by foot pump, and any water that gets used for any purpose has to be manually pumped out. This is the responsibility of the on-watch. On an hourly basis, somebody is nominated to go below and pump out the bilges, any wastewater, and measure the amount of diesel that has been used. Of course, the other responsibility of the on-watch is to sail the vessel, taking turns on the helm, endeavouring to keep the straightest navigational track possible, whilst resisting the urge to chase the compass bearing, a real temptation as the boat rolls with every swell. For the crew manning the sails and sheets, there is not an electric winch in sight. All of the winches on board are powered by strength and by sinew. They are 2-speed, turn the handle one way for high gearing and the other for low gear. Of course, neither way has much use if you have coiled the rope the wrong way around the winch drum. With squalls blowing in off the Atlantic, points of sail were changing regularly, and sails had to be adjusted and trimmed, reefs put in and taken out, and different sails raised and lowered. What was initially a bewildering array of ropes began to make sense, and soon all members of the crew knew their topping lift from their Cunningham, from the first reefing line to the kicker. The following days saw Crew 5 visit a number of Caribbean islands. These included the island of Les Saints, which is part of the archipelago of Guadeloupe, then south towards Martinique. The passages between the islands afforded us a number of classical sailing experiences, seeing whales on the surface, turtles floating by, and the ever-popular escort of dolphins. We then spent a memorable day in the beautiful Marigot Bay Resort in St. Lucia. Heading south once again, we spent a night in Bequia, the so-called Island of the Clouds. Upon our return to Grenada, we squared away the boat, before spending the following day seeing just what this spice island has to offer. Rum distilleries, chocolate plantations, the rainforest, and traditional cuisine were the order of the day. Selling a 2-week sailing trip in the Caribbean to people at home as work can be a difficult task, but this was certainly not a holiday. There was hard work, discomfort, and some long days and nights. However, it was certainly not without its reward. As a crew, we got to experience the sights and sounds of different islands, and we saw some of nature's great achievements. What is more, the long hours spent in close confines with people from other branches of the military gave us ample opportunity to find out more about what our sister services were up to. Over the course of 12 days, this disparate group of soldiers, sailors, airmen and women wove themselves into a happy and halfway competent crew. Everyone learned something about themselves and had a greater understanding and appreciation for their fellow service personnel. And we even had some fun to boot.